Good morning, everybody. This is the African Actions Network. I'm James Jensen. I'm here this morning to um, emphasize what we think may be some problems that could hamper or border Liberia's progress for the next 6 years. And as far as elections is concerned, it's time for people to rethink. It's time for people to be informed. So we think it's time to do that for the Liberian people to make a better decision as we all approach 2023 elections. That is, election expected in October. This morning, I want to address the issue that borders Prince Johnson and the International Criminal Court, the ICC. There's a video going around where Prince Johnson is heard saying that he doesn't think that he has committed an international crime. And I'm saying this from the backdrop of the expected government to come. And that is something that every Liberian should be thinking about. Liberia is not an island. For Liberia to have the fullest international support, that means they must comply with international laws, or they must be in compliance with what the international partners are thinking about. So that brings us to the point of the just recent team of Joseph Boakai, Ambassador Joseph Boakai, involving Prince Johnson. Prince Johnson's, and then by distinction, they picked of the vice running mate of Joseph Boakai's team. We look at it in a very different dimension, and we think it's just important to keep emphasizing some of these things so the decision makers will always be on their guard. And the Liberians will be aware of what they should be expecting after elections. The people that get elected are people who should help Liberia or help that country to move forward. No disrespect to anybody. The war came, the war is gone, but there are concerns. And those concerns, you cannot put them on the raw. The international partners, especially the US government, will not renege on those issues they have flagged. And so Liberians, if you want to progress, you do not ignore those things that have been flagged by the international partner, especially that of the US government. So whatever team, president, vice president, or officials you're going to be electing or appointing to public offices, you must be cognizant of these matters. It's not a mere issue to say, oh, this doesn't matter. Because Liberia, you cannot do it on your own. So this is time for you all to think and make a better decision. There are several candidates. Some of those candidates are pure. Some of those candidates are not people that are haunted or people that are wanted. So decisions that will lean on people that the international partners get problem with, of course, you must think about it. You must think about it seriously and make a decision. Now, the only reason I'm making this video today is a short video is because we must make the distinction between Prince Johnson's defense for the people of Nima and the capture. Somebody will say you are reawakening, but these are historical facts that are still ongoing. People need answers. So there's a distinction between fighting for a group of persons or people, a tribe, or a group of people within Liberia, and crime being committed. Torture is disallowed or is not acceptable under international law. And that's why we said, Jensen, why are you saying this? Because under international law, torture is a crime. Both U.S. and international law, torture is a crime. And very likely, anyone who torture a prisoner of war commits crime under the Geneva Convention. So it's not because whether we like it or not, but the fact that you are part of the Committee of Nations, you need to know these things, and then when you're making decisions, you make sure your decision is refined or work in line with some of these international laws or protocols that are set aside to ensure that society is good and that people are free and that people are not, people do not arbitrarily get involved, commit crimes, and they are let go. So if there is any government that will resemble cheating or hiding people or people who are perceived to be on the radar of the international or those who govern international laws or those who are seeking to bring people, perpetrators, to justice, then that government is very likely not to get international support or the fullest support. So this is the crux of the matter, and no disrespect to anybody, but the reality is this is what the law says. This is what international law says. When you commit torture, then there are questionable issues that should go before the International Criminal Court. We shouldn't forget the Third Geneva Convention is the most comprehensive legal framework that was put in place to protect humanity or those who will not arbitrarily get out of war from and do things wrongly, or those who will govern will have authority to govern and then will just even go ahead and commit torture or do things wrongly. And they feel like nobody will ask them questions. So let me be clear here. Prince Johnson was heard, and that's the basis of this podcast. Prince Johnson was heard saying he's not afraid of International Criminal Court. And he's calling for the International Criminal Court. Fine enough. But it is very likely the issue that he raised is what I want to make this video for. The issue Prince Johnson raised is that Nimbayans were being killed in the number. Yeah, those were wrong things that took place. So his defense was, in my view, was right. All right, anybody, for example, if I get my household, you come, you want to kill my relative, I can get in defense of that. But the law is, if it happens that I capture any of those persons who come in my household to create mayhem, I'm on an obligation to treat that person with dignity. That person's right must be protected. In the case of Prince Johnson and the late Samuel Doe, which is the issue, is not me raising it, but is an issue that is pending. The torture and execution of Samuel Doe is an issue that is pending. And that is a similar issue that even Prince Johnson himself, being a soldier, a trained soldier, he's aware of that act, which is an issue. If your court is set up, that is the singular issue that may, now I'm careful in using my word, that may hold Prince Johnson. Not the issue of being on the defense for the people of Nima. Nobody supports anybody to have killed innocent children or killed innocent group of people during the war. If Doe would have survived, Doe would have faced the consequences of those actions. Probably Doe would have gone to jail for his lifetime. The same international law would have been applied to him. Prince Johnson would have been a hero if he caught Samuel Doe and turned Samuel Doe over to the international body, which many persons look at in a different perspective, right? Others would have thought, oh no, what Doe would have come by to come and do this and do that, but that's the law. It's not whether you like it or not. The Third Geneva Convention was established in 1949. So these are critical issues. Now, when you want to see how the country can progress, these are things that are historical. These are things that people still want to find out what has happened. These are things people want people to account for. So even if you have your own kitchen cabinet, if you have to form or to elect, now Liberia is not late. This is a playing field. This is a time people must be sober-minded and be able to make some quick corrections of things that they do that would be wrong. If you don't do it in the election period, this is the time people should talk all of the issues and make sure you find the finest candidate so Liberia can be looked at in a different dimension. Why would people want to do the same thing over and over, and the country is not moving forward? And you still want to do the same thing this 2022 election? I'm wondering why. In my mind, if I'm in a political leader or advising somebody, some of the presidents should be on the backstage. He should be on the backstage. He shouldn't be seen as a kingmaker. If you're seen as a kingmaker, that sets that candidate. Create condition for that candidate. I know everybody wants to be, close to power. But what good would it do Liberia? You elect a group of persons and then they can move forward. And then people start to micromanage things, How can we get this thing done? How can we get this thing done? This is the time people to make decisions. For me personally, for example, the Unity Party, you think there are individuals in the Unity Party, right? Or there are other prominent Liberians, some part of the world. Someone will say, oh, Jeremiah Cohen is not, crime is not transferable. That was a good argument I heard from Prince Johnson. Nobody is transferring crime to Jeremiah Cohen, but the makeup, the setup, the political maneuvering, all of these things are a factor that international partners are looking at. Whether you think about it or not, that's what the people are thinking about. It's not what you think. It's what the partners will be thinking about. Some of the things they're discussing right now. It's some of the things I'm talking here. Jeremiah Cohen did not just come on the scene. He was recommended by whom? By Prince Johnson. So this is a hard fight. So whatever you think about it, this is where Liberia found herself. So it's about looking at the cloud of rain. It's about the rain, and you say, well, I get my dry clothes on the sun, and yet you say, well, I'll leave the clothes there. It will not rain. Oh, it will not rain. Oh, you start to argue, maybe, it's not going to rain. It's not going to rain. When the rain falls, your clothes will get wet. And when you get wet, something nothing will fall on the ground. Mud, that white clothes, mud will get on it. So Liberia, you have Liberians. There's so many persons out there, and you need to just know these things. If you get to be informed and you still make a decision, good enough. Then we see what the cities are going to be. But it's better to talk these things, and that's where some of us we think we're going to be discussing these things because it matters to the progress of that country. We don't talk to police people. Sometimes you say it because these are the realities. So wherever Liberia found herself, to progress from where Liberia is, you must take the hardest decision and move that country forward. Prince Johnson, I mean, I like him for some reason. He's influential in the body politics. You can't ignore that. When the same thing, you must measure that influential part of this individual to the overall goal or the overall progress of Liberia and make a decision. If Liberia cannot distinguish these things, then Liberia going to be in the situation. President says, why he's 70, and that's good enough. God's brought him to that age, right? So he wait forward. President added another 6 years. That President is a smart man. I mean, he maneuver everything. He's calculating everything, and God is. I don't know what I should say, God, right? But I mean, he has lived, and the father he lived in, maybe God gave everybody opportunity, right, to live and make a decision. But this is about international law, and that's why I don't know what I'm mixing it to. International law is the law that would be. Let me see. I want to. Let me read a portion of this. This is this is well. This is the Rome Statute of the International Criminal Court. It's Article 7 and 8. Infliction of torture can be investigated and prosecuted by the International Criminal Court. So anyone who commits torture of a person, especially now, let me see some of the war people. Prince Johnson is a trained soldier. He was trained by the Armed Forces of Liberia. He has full knowledge of all of these laws. He knows what has gone wrong. People like the Yaka Koluba, all the people who they know about these basic things. When you catch a prisoner, or when you catch a person of war, you are not supposed to torture that person. It's not mean to say that's a law. And all of them know that. So if he did that, then if James Johnson was involved in a war and for some reason I caught a prisoner and that person was considered a prisoner of war and I tortured that person in a very inhumane way, then of course this law should also haunt me. You see, Russia and Ukraine war, I see them exchanging prisoners every now and then. I mean, the African mentality, probably African men, or let's say people fought war in Liberia, I didn't see that happening easily, right? Where you saw Charles Taylor, prisoners of war, or Prince Johnson, INPF, prisoner of war, people exchanging these people. People catch you in the African context, especially Liberia, bitter civil war, that was straight execution. There were some people who were even arrested after Doe was captured and killed, and this person was taken on the bail, and they were executed too. All the information are out there. So when people are calling for international case on Liberia, these are some of the issues that will be discussed in a court of law. So it's not whether we like it or not. It's a hard fight. It's something bitter, but it must be swallowed. You don't pretend about these things. When there is a cruel, inhumane, degrading treatment of a person, that's a concern for the International Criminal Court. This is where deception will interplay. And now let me be, I'm saying that because we saw what happened with Charles Taylor and Madam Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. You know, when you read through all this not happening, these things may repeat itself. Now I say these things or these kind of actions may repeat itself. Madam Sirleaf turned Charles Taylor over for international prosecution. That may likely happen if Barker is elected as president. Somebody will say, well, we play our game, we win the election, and then we go to the... But the repercussion of these things matter to the country. Going through all of these rigmarole road is time consuming. It's all about the image of the country. There's a lot of things that happen in the process. So this is just a short broadcast, and I thought to put this in a spotlight. People can debate it on. You can say whatever you want to say, make a comment. We will respond to those comments that will come. Or we thought to just add this. And this is no strange. This is not created by me. This is about justice. It's about people must accept some. I always tell people sometimes when you reach a certain level in life, so you say, well, I think I did this. I was wrong. Right? And then you move forward. But the international partners will not give any government the fullest support when these people, because there are a lot of persons under sanction right now. Somebody would think the international partner will just ignore these things. No, it doesn't happen that way. When these people put statement out there, Liberia had all of the resources and decided to be on an island by ourselves. Yeah, good enough. You go ahead and do whatever you want to do. But this is a major issue that is concerning. And many persons may think, oh, like what and ever saying bygone, this thing being over. Why are you regenerating this thing? And why are you raising the argument? This is not something that has been let go. These are issues that on the radar. You cannot ignore them in this very serious election that's supposed to be serving as a means, quote unquote, rescue the country. You want to rescue Liberia? You must take all the factors to consider. Then you break it apart, and then you take a decision. And we're going to take a decision. At Liberia, we're going to take a decision. So every piece of information we have to feed you guys, we will do it. This is a major issue. If the kingmaker has issues, then you must know what's going to happen to your country. You cannot pretend about this thing. Thank you so much, those of you who watch. And this is 2A Radio, the African Actions Network. We are here to speak nothing but the truth and inform you on issues that matters to that country. If Liberia will ever progress, you must begin to look among those individuals who want to be president and who should be president so that your country can move forward. So that the future of those children will be good. So the old folks can have some better, maybe up the national support and go in there, and old people who probably, reaching their last days can have some progress. This is not to say we pointing anybody particular person to you, but you will make a decision. You just say, I think we'll be discussing all of these people. Even Broca, I have not discussed Broca yet. I just wanted to put this on. Bring Johnson in the International Criminal Code. If we hear people making statements, sometimes we know it's contrary from what the law is. We just think sometimes say, well, it's better to inform the public on this matter. And that's why we try to throw light on this. Okay? There's a distinction between defending Nima County and capturing individuals or prisoners of war and executing them. When these two things don't matter, they're not the same thing. If anybody go to court, there will be two distinct things. As people will be arguing, oh, you know what, they were killing my people. I woke up and stood up and defended my people. Good enough. And the question is, did you torture? Did you create mayhem? Did you inflict heinous, did you commit heinous crime doing those efforts? If the answer is yes, then you know for sure the ending of that trial, what it will be. If the answer is no, I did not, and there's evidence to prove otherwise, then you should know how that trial will end and what will result to the end of that trial. So as far as we're concerned, there's a lot on Liberia's plate. And we need to take serious-minded people to fight to defend that country. and make sure it's good. And the way to go about it is to be truthful to people who even will decide to help you. Okay? Thank you so much and have a pleasant and a wonderful day. I'm James Johnson. Bye for now.